Big Five is five different domains. Openness to hello. Why am I getting a do not freak on me PowerPoint? Go. Why are you not going? No? Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. I was clicking on the wrong thing. Openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. These are 5 different personality groups. If you're experienced in psychological theory, you'll be familiar with the sorts of things that these talk about. The reason I was excited about this particular model is that inside each of these are actually 6 what are known as facets. And these are far more specific. And this means that altogether the system is really 30 different spectrums of human personality and motivation. I thought that was pretty cool. So what I've been doing is I spent the last 2 years correlating these, and through correlation, I mean I have been doing interviews with people, doing the Big Five test, and then asking them about their play style, what they like in games. And I discovered that they correlate. Your personality test will predict the kinds of games that you like. So the 5 domains of play are the names of the game features that will satisfy people with those motivations. So people who are open to experience, like, gasp, new things in their video games. I know that sounds pretty obvious, but this work hadn't been done before, so here we are. At the end of the talk last year, I pointed out that neuroticism, which is, we'll talk about in a minute, was a big question mark. It didn't really correlate, and I have more data on, it didn't correlate at all. It didn't seem to in any of my interviews. Neuroticism was, well, I'm going to get to it in a minute. So that's really all you need to know about the Big Five right now to understand the rest of the talk. That's the intro. What have I been doing since last year? The answer is pretty simple. More research. We're doing more research. But this time, instead of just qualitative research where I was doing personal interviews, we actually started doing some quantitative research as well. We have, my sister is a PhD psychologist, teacher at University of Washington at DigiPen. She has been testing her classes. And so we have made big tests, and we have been using students as guinea pigs to find numbers to see if these correlations that we found in the qualitative research actually existed. So it looks like this. We give them the test, the ocean test, and then we give them a test that is the 5 domains test. You know, do you like these types of gameplay, et cetera. And what I have now is I have some numbers of correlation. They look like this, 0.42. This probably means nothing to you. It didn't mean anything to me when it was first presented to me. In correlation, a 1.0 is 100%, and a 0 means none. So 0.42, that's pretty okay in social sort of psychological study terms. It's pretty good. It's not great. It means there's some noise in the data, but it's okay. 3.27, 5.1, 2.8, that's low. We need to fix that. And then neuroticism came in at a whopping, for the purposes of this talk, I'm going to take that one out because I'm more interested in talking about appeal right now. I want to focus the conversation on appeal. But for those of you who attended the talk last year, I kind of left it as an open question, and I felt that I was obligated to then provide the answer. So that was where we got. So we're going to take that one off, and we're just going to talk about these 4. Openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, and agreeableness. Okay. So since the talk that I gave, I've had this problem. I keep getting asked this question. I worked on Far Cry 3. There was a moment that I remember vividly. I was going to give the talk I gave last year. I was walking across the floor, and the producer shows up. His name's Dan Hay. If you know Dan, Dan is about 6'4", and he talks like this. And I'm like, hey, Dan, I'm going to GC. I'm going to give this presentation. And he says, oh, yeah? On what? Human psychology, blah, 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 blah. And Dan goes, well, what's it good for? I was like, Now, I've actually had this conversation many, many, many times since then, but it was really the conversation with Dan that stuck in my head because he's really terrifying as a person. And he's a good guy, but what's it good for? What's it good for? Dan, look, here's the deal. I have these spectrums of personality, and I can tell you, if your game satisfies these bands of motivation, right? If your game kind of covers those areas, and then you test the gamer, and their scores fit inside those things, then they're going to like the game, Dan. And then, if they're outside, I can tell you that they're not going to like the game. Isn't that cool?
So what? What's it good for?
The implication, of course, being that I'm spending Ubisoft's money on this. So I had to answer this goddamn question, and I hope you don't think it's bragging when I tell you that it took me only 12 months and about 17 versions of the presentation to accomplish my answer. It was a bit of a chore. So here is my answer to the question, and this is my answer to the question for what psychology of all kinds is good for. This is not the big five, okay? I believe that it's only good for one real thing. There are many things that we can talk about in terms of statistics and gathering and player modeling and all of that thing, but in terms of making the game, there's only one thing that this actually helps us with. Developing accurate empathy. Developing accurate empathy. And we devalue this because it is not a checklist. That's cool, I'm putting that aside. Here's the thing. Our gamers, when we begin in our experiences, right, we start out in kind of this, maybe when we're young, we're like, ha, nerd, he likes video games, right? What the hell, right? And then as we get into the business, we slowly evolve, and we start to realize, okay, we have to understand how this gamer is thinking. How do we do this? What do they want? What do they want from us? And the job of the designer is to develop accurate empathy. Is to be able to understand what is going on inside of not just your head, not just the head of the guy next to you, but all of your players, in best case. Best case, all of your players. All of your players. I'm going to hit that point one more time because there was a second guy who asked me an important question that I thought needed answering. Why am I doing this? Why? Why have I done this for 2.5 years? Why have I been chasing this? Why am I standing up here? Is it just attention? Do I just want to feel important? It's not. Here's the problem. All gamers. Hopefully, these will be my players. Now, the issue is, when I begin designing the game, these are the players I understand. I get these guys, right? But the variation in humankind means that these guys are ones that I want to understand, but I do not naturally. And my problem is, my goal is that if you pay for my game, you set the controller down satisfied, regardless of who you are. If you saw the poster and you bought this thing, I want you to go away satisfied. If you walked into the theater with a ticket, God damn it, it's my obligation to entertain you. That's the covenant. That's what we've agreed to do. But I don't understand all of you guys. So, develop accurate empathy. This is my role. This is my task. This is my job as a designer. Develop accurate